Yeah, I like that.
All right, you want to do the intro?
Yeah. Okay. Here you go. You got to do your thing.
Yeah, clap.
All right. We're here again for the 8th time?
Yeah, I think this is episode 8 officially, 9 unofficially.
9 unofficially, yeah, because we had that hiccup.
Well, in the test run. So maybe 10 unofficially if you want to count the half
Yes,
episode
10
we kind of recorded.
And not to tease anything, but technically we're getting into the end of our season 1.
Yeah, if you want to call it that.
And then next season we have a lot of cool things ahead. We're going to have some really cool guests.
Yes.
The idea is for next season is to get all the things we talked about this season, all the bullet points, all the show notes, etc., and bring in guests that are legit experts because we're fucking idiots. Okay, not idiots, but individuals that are way smarter than we are,
right? Or specialized
in their specialty, and talk to us. And kind of the point of that would be these are going to be individuals that are fathers, that are dads, that have been through the same kind of footsteps or that we have walked in our shoes, if you will, but also specialize in whatever we were talking about in those episodes. So I'm really excited. We've got the TRT episode coming back. Hopefully we can rein in the guests that we're looking for that one, which is going to be an expert in TRT and testosterone. We've got actors for next season. We've got entrepreneurs,
other entrepreneurs,
other entrepreneurs,
former mentors of ours,
former mentors. My dad, which is going to be on one of the episodes, which I'm actually stoked about. Yeah. So we're going to have a really cool season 2, and I'm excited. I've had a lot of fun in season 1. And kind of putting these shows together. It's honestly been a little bit of I didn't expect it to be so therapeutic.
Oh, really?
I was excited about sitting down with you because we have great banter and we everything that we've discussed, we're in the same age group, we have the same morals for the most part, we're aligned. But the therapeutic part, I really do every week look forward to sitting down here and speaking to you and speaking to our hundreds of millions and thousands of
the greatest community ever.
Community, which is about 5 of you at the moment. But no, hey, listen. You never know. You never know where this could be, but that's not the point. The whole point has been that we have shown up, we have done this. Yeah. It's been consistent and therapeutic in my estimation.
Yeah, I want to second that. I've never been to therapy. I don't go to therapy, so I'm saying this from someone who doesn't know professionally. You've actually gone to therapy and are in therapy with your wife, right? So maybe a better way to use that word, and I would argue that it does feel therapeutic. It feels very healing. It's something that we talked about when we were even cultivating this idea, is that men don't talk like this a lot. Yeah. And it's good to have this space, and the fact that we both feel comfortable enough with each other and also to share with other people our experiences and what's going on, so that even if 1 or 2 people see it and they're like, oh, cool, I'm not weird, or oh, cool, I never thought of it that way, or oh, cool, I didn't learn that growing up, or whatever it is, to have impact, to help somebody who maybe we never would have had the chance to do without this avenue is worth it to me. And getting my own therapy out of it is just a byproduct. It's a positive byproduct out of it. So.
Yeah, I agree. And just being able to sit down with you and diving into the things that we've been diving into has been really cool.
Just scratching the surface.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, we came in. I think we came in as friends, and we're definitely even more nailed down as friends after this. It's been really cool. So
I feel the same.
With that said, this is episode 8, 9. What did we come
9,
back?
I don't know.
It's an episode.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Dad Tribe podcast, a podcast where we talk about stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good segue. So yeah, this is the Dad Tribe podcast. My name's JC, dad, father, entrepreneur, and friend of John's.
Yes, and my name is John. I am a fitness expert, dad, entrepreneur, and friend of JC. Yeah. So we're here today to talk on a new topic that we've brushed on a little bit over the last few episodes, but we're going to try and maybe dive in or nail down different aspects of our life and how we define success in those aspects. You see a lot of things on Instagram that are very monetarily driven in success.
Yeah.
And I know that I believe there's more to it than that. I would argue that most people would say that there's more to it than that, but to actually live it, do it, be it, is a different thing. So I think that we'll get into some really interesting ground today, considering like the plan today is very loose and I like it. I'm excited to see where our conversation takes us.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I'm really excited because I think this is a topic that, well, I was going to say it's a topic that I could talk about, but honestly, I could talk about any topic.
Yeah, we talk about the lights over here. We talk about those all day.
We could talk about anything, but I am super excited because I think one of the things that as a 15 years ago when I started in my journey as an entrepreneur, one of the things that I did not have clear, well, I had clear inside of myself, but was not being showcased very clearly was what is success. And I think you had a lot of things in the market or things in the, like on socials and
the influence.
The influence that was highlighted. And I never resonated with it, right? Like when we were in our 20s, like the whole Dan Brazilian or Brazilian.
Oh God, that guy.
And I always saw that, and I had friends that were like, "Oh, I want to be that guy," and I was always like, "No, I don't.
I don't be that guy.
I don't resonate with that at all."
To be fair, that guy was pretty swole. I wouldn't mind looking a little bit like that guy.
Would have loved to look like him, and don't get me wrong. In my early 20s, would have loved to be with some of the women that he was with. I'm not
on some of the boats he was on.
I'm not gonna throw that under the bus.
No, we're not that high and mighty.
No, at all. But
as a whole,
and more long term, like
yeah.
Like I didn't want to be 35 living like that. That wasn't my portrait of success.
Yeah, that wasn't in your direction.
Right, at all. Like I it was very difficult to see myself in those shoes because that's not how I wanted to live. I know, even though I didn't know exactly how I want, that I wanted 3 kids or 2 kids or whatever the case may be. I knew I wanted a family. I knew I wanted to be able to provide for my family. I wanted a beautiful wife. I wanted a stable household. I knew I wanted children and be able to provide for that. And I didn't want to go on vacation like him. I wanted to go on vacation like with my family, with my kids, So I never really viewed that lifestyle. And I think in our 20s, that was almost like the recipe for success. That was like the portrait of success for the most part.
To me, that signifies the start of grind culture in my life.
Yeah.
But one thing that you said in there that I want to make sure we highlight is like you didn't know where you were going. You didn't have a clear picture of where you wanted to go exactly, but you knew clearly what you didn't want. And that's almost, I would argue, almost as important, if not more important, to know what you don't want to be, because it helps narrow your focus, which for me is a really hard thing. It was something that I struggled with all through college. I had no idea what my major was going to be all the way for like my first 2 years of college. I just happened to be in health sciences, and I knew that that's what I liked. I liked sports growing up. I liked anatomy, and I didn't like the other classic sciences. I didn't like physics. I didn't like that kind of stuff, right? So I just lucked into a profession that I have an innate ability to and I like doing, but knowing that I didn't want to be an accountant. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to be Dan Brazilianaire or whatever his name was. I think that that's super important to understand. And if you hadn't taken the time to understand yourself well enough to know that you didn't want that, it would have been so much harder to get to where you are now. And being the successful person that you are now, because you would have had so many more distractions.
No, I agree 1,000%. And I love that you put it like that. Like most of the time, understanding what you don't want to be is 75% of the recipe. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to go down this route. I don't want to do these things. And like you're saying, it helps you pave that path easier, if you will.
Yeah. I imagine it kind of like streetlights on a dark road, right? Like you only need a few of them to really see where you're going. You don't need them all to light up. But if you know, okay, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, well, then every fourth light is lit up. At least you can see 200 feet ahead of you, and all you got to do is travel the next 200 feet.
Yeah.
Like, what do I tell you when we go for a run? It's just one step in front of the other. That's it. If you can put one foot in front of the other, you're still moving forward.
Yeah.
I don't care about how fast you're going. I don't care about if someone else is going faster than you. If you're putting one foot in front of the other, you're giving me effort, you're moving forward, you're doing great. You're awesome. You're better than the person standing still, stuck in analysis paralysis, or doing nothing, sitting on the couch if we're talking about exercise. So like, pat yourself on the back that you're moving.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
I love that visual for me.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So we had broken down today into 3 categories.
Oh yeah.
Which was defining success as a father, defining success as a human, and defining success as an entrepreneur. Okay, and I think those are 3 very distinct kind of titles, if you will, in what success is.
I think there are 3 big things that you and I resonate with the strongest. Right? Like we could talk about being success as a fan of our team. We could talk about being success in other realms, but these are the 3 that drive our daily life.
Yeah.
And those are the 3 that we talk about the most here also.
Right. So I think first and foremost, I would like to in very short form, off the top of your dome, what do you define as success overall as a person, as John?
So we're not going into one of these buckets yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Right. Just overall, if you had to throw those 3 into a bucket.
So success for me is driven by my core values, which we talked about in another episode, but that I'm able to find gratitude in all situations. I'm able to be grateful for something, right? That I am happy with the choices I am making for myself and my family, meaning I'm not sitting on the couch going, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, I could have done this, I could have done that. I'm not sitting in regret. And then lastly, that I have communication with the people who are important to me, right? Like me and my best friend, we don't always have deep conversations every day, but when we do talk, it's like no time has passed. And if we go to hang out and I don't feel that anymore, that to me is like, okay, I'm dropping the ball in that part of success. So off the top, those are the 3 things that I feel good for my family, I feel good for myself, and I feel good for those that I care about.
I like those. Those are amazing. Especially the communication with the people that you love. Like that's one that resonates with me insanely. We've talked about that in the past. Like one of my biggest missions in life is to make sure that the people around me know how I feel most of the time. Not every single day, but I make it a habit to text my family, text my tribe, if you will.
Right.
Hey, love you. I'm proud of you. Whatever the case may be.
I would say that's the one I struggle with the most.
Is it?
Is because I've always had a very tight circle, right? A very small circle, and I've never. If I don't feel like we're drifting apart, I don't often feel that pull to pull us closer back together, right? Whereas, but there's two avenues to every relationship. There's you're going your way and I'm going my way, and you may feel like we're drifting, and I may feel like we're going together at the same speed. And I've had this talk with people as close to me as my mother that I don't do this enough, I don't reach out enough and stuff. And so, especially since having Peyton, I try to be more conscious of sending photos of Peyton to at least say like, hey, here's what's going on in my world. It's 100% Peyton right now. Like there's nothing else that even compares in importance as to what's going on with her and her development. So here's a video of her today. Here's a photo we did of something we did with her today. Here's what she ate. Here's how she's eating strawberries today. It's new. It's weird. I don't know why she's doing it, but you get a video of it, you know, and that's the way that I'm showing connection now. It's not as vulnerable as, hey, I'm proud of you. Hey, all like the things you just said, and it's something that I'm working on. But that's why it's one of my guiding principles. That it's something I'm trying to improve on. It's not something I'm a rock star at. And that's what we're here for. We're here to get better.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah, and in the past I've struggled with it, but honestly, the last, I would say 5 to 10 years, I've put such an emphasis on that in my life, and I'm sure there's many factors that play into that. I lost my grandfather. He came up with cancer, died very quickly of cancer, 6 months, 8 months. And he was like our rock. Yeah. And so I think, there's a lot of things that play into that for sure. But that's one of the things that I kind of, my team, my VBL team, they call me the Ted Lasso of business. I think we talked about that. Because I am like, I outside of the incredible optimism that I have on a day-to-day basis, I'm always checking in. I'm always like, hey, you're doing great. Like, what do you need? And again, I think that verbal, alongside parallel to being physically there for people, I think that verbal connection and communication is so fucking important. Like, not to get too corny or emotional, like it's so important that that people know that you love them. You never fucking know, dog. You never know. Like today I texted you earlier because I was like, man, we're podcasting today, and I had a very close friend of mine, somebody I grew up with. His dad, unfortunately, just had surgery, and they gave him a not very good prognosis. He has brain cancer, not very good prognosis. And I was at breakfast today. I dropped off B, and I went to go have breakfast, and he texted me. He had texted me the other day that he was going to have surgery today. Okay. And he texted me, he's like, hey, long text message. And at the end, he put the bad prognosis.
Got it.
And I was eating breakfast on my own and just started bawling. Ugh. Just started bawling. And it's not I haven't spoken to his dad. I actually spoke to him today on the phone. I haven't spoken to his dad consistently for 10 years now, 15 years now.
Yeah.
But we grew up together, me and
right. He has an impact on your life.
And he had a huge impact, because he was like one of those baseball dads, but he was very close to my dad.
Gotcha.
We'd always go to the house. We'd play manhunt at his house. They have a huge house. Yeah, they have a huge house in Miami, and a huge backyard. They have acres in the back. And we used to always play manhunt, go to their house, play manhunt, then jump in the pool. And just a great dude. He was in the military, just very awesome dude. Great family too. Love them dearly, like the mom as well, and 3 great boys. And yeah, it was just one of those things. Again, you somebody you don't talk to all the time, or I haven't talked to in a while. But they're such an impact on your life, and such an amazing family. You never know, bro.
Right.
You never know what can happen. He was literally he's an avid biker,
mountain bike,
like bicycle, like a long
cyclist.
Cyclist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Tour de France.
Yeah, basically, and he was out last week, started getting headaches, and did it again, started getting headaches. Long story short, called his doctor, and his doctor, they did an MRI, and his doctor's like, you got to go to the hospital right now, man. Oh. Like, yeah, we gotta take that out. And then the unfortunate prognosis today. So I thought I was going to get more emotional on camera, but I did all my crying at breakfast like an idiot, just there, like sobbing. The guy came up to me, he's like, you okay, man? And I'm like, I've been better, man.
I just imagine you. So, and this is me deflecting with humor, but
I do the same, by the way. I deflect with humor.
I imagine you having like scrambled eggs and they're just so dry, and you're like crying and then stripping into them. And you're like, no, my eggs were just too dry. And he's like, I don't know if that's funny or not.
Like I'm this big dude at breakfast, eating breakfast, and I start crying. But yeah, I do deflect with humor as well, and have to shed light to it. I was actually on the phone with him today and with my buddy, and they were in great spirits. We were laughing as well, and if he were here, we'd be laughing at certain things as well. And just a great family, great dude, and my prayers to them. I love them dearly, and going back to the point.
Well, before you go on, I just want to say one thing that we can all agree on. Fuck cancer.
Yeah,
man. Fuck cancer. I know that we lost a very close friend to cancer too.
Yeah.
I'm going to get more emotional than you are talking about cancer, and yours just happened today. So I feel that in a very special place in my chest when you mentioned that someone got a bad prognosis from cancer, because Megan and I, we still have moments where like, hey, I thought about them today and it was really hard. And like, we just tell each other, and like, all we have to do is tell each other that, and we know like nothing else really matters at the moment. Like let's just take care of each other for a second, and then like we can move on with the rest of the day. Like, who cares if dinner burns? Who cares? Like, as long as Peyton's safe and the dog's inside, like, let's just take a second, take a beat. What do you need me to do? I just want to sit here with you for a second. Great.
I feel that at my core.
So yeah, but let's try not to. Let's try not to cry.
Yeah, let's try not to. But I feel that real quick. I feel that to my core. Every once in a while, Madi will say something, or something will come up in a chat with my family or whatever, and it's, for whatever reason, it always happens while I'm working and Madi is working next to me, and she'll just see me bawling. And she'll know, or a text message will come in, a picture of my grandfather, my grandmother in our chats, whatever. And it doesn't happen all the time, but it'll happen if like I'm in the fields, maybe I'm having an emotional day, whatever, and I just start bawling. Usually for whatever reason, it's with my grandfather, because there was a lot of unfinished business with my grandfather. My grandmothers, I had a great relationship. I saw them to the end. Like my grandfather was like that, 6 months, like I said, cancer. it'll usually happen with my grandfather, and I'll just be sitting there working, and I'll just start bawling, and Mari doesn't even say anything. She just comes up and she's like,
oh,
she does one of those,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh shit. She does one of those, and it's like, we're gonna be good. She'll start crying, and
So I don't know how much study you've done into grief and whatnot, but or like analogies of grief, but the best one that I've heard, and this is something that I told Megan when she lost her dad too, is that there's this theory that's called grief is like a button in a box. Have you heard this?
No.
So imagine there's a cardboard box, and inside of it is a red button. And inside the box is a bouncing ball. Imagine remember the DVD thing that bounced around on the TV screen?
wow, yeah, it just brought me back.
Yeah. So that ball is bouncing around nonstop in your life all the time. And as time goes on, the box gets bigger, the button gets smaller, the box gets bigger, the button gets smaller. And every time the ball hits the button, you feel it. You go right back to where you were the day it happened. Right after it happens, the button is the whole box. Every time the ball bounces, it hits the damn button, and you break down, right? 2 weeks later, the button's a little smaller. It happens every other day. A month later, every third day. 2 months later, it's happening once a week. You're really breaking down. 2 years later, the button's this big in a box this big, but as soon as the ball hits it, it's just like being back in that moment where you first got the news, or you first said goodbye, or you watched them pass away, or whatever it is
That's a great visual.
Right. And I explained this to Megan. I was like, whenever the ball hits the button, it's okay to feel that. Like, there is no reason for you there's no reason for you to fight that.
At all.
That is natural.
Yeah.
But then I took that a step further, and I think like we all have a box, and in the box is all the buttons. There's good buttons, bad buttons, sad buttons, happy buttons, angry buttons, and the ball's just bouncing around. And there will be things that just set you off for no reason. Like some things you have a trigger, like some asshole cuts you off in traffic. Yeah. Maybe you got a little road rage. Maybe you go, and you let it go real quick. But there are things that catch you off guard, like you're talking about, like a picture of your grandfather. Like that's a trigger, but maybe some days it sets you off, maybe some days it doesn't. Yeah. Maybe it triggers a memory. Maybe it's taken in a certain place.
Yeah.
The ball hits the button, and you're just back there.
Yeah.
In that exact headspace for a moment, and you can't help it. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you.
No, that was great. I love that visual. I've never thought about it like that, but it makes 100% sense. Like all the sense in the world.
The more that we have this podcast, and the more I talk to Megan. Megan is going through a lot of like audiobooks with her girlfriends. They're doing like a virtual book club essentially. I am such a visual person. I imagine things as pictures or as movies in my head, and Megan does that to an extent too, but she can also like see the words, and then she has a friend who nothing happens. She just processes the information, and like it's just pitch black up here, and I'm like, that doesn't even make sense to me.
Me neither.
But like
I paint a full picture.
But that's why all these explanations are like a visual to me. Everything's like the kitten hang in there poster in the office. You know what I mean? Like it's like that's what I always visualize.
I love that. I love that visual. That was fantastic. Now I'm going to think about that all the time. Every time I cry, I'm like, goddamn button,
stupid button in the box. So mad at this red button.
That is a great visual, dude. Wow, we did that. Look at us, bro.
I know, in sync.
Look at us.
Yeah.
All right. So I need to answer the define success.
So let's go back to why we started this conversation.
Holy crap, we can deviate.
Yeah, I like tangents. They're fun.
So you defined success. So I actually put down 3 words because we had started this, I think like episode 2 or something, and then we got cut off. And I was never able to like fully answer, not the defining success, but
the core values.
The core values.
The core values got cut off.
So I like to put things in 3s.
Okay.
I read a book, the CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, his book, which is fantastic, by the way. And he likes to put things in 3s. He says after 3, you kind of lose the value of what you're trying to like bullet point.
It's like that podium mindset.
Yeah. So I loved that. So I always like to put things in 3. So I put really simply, happy leaders win. Okay. That's what defines success to me.
Okay.
Happy leaders win. Obviously, within those 3, there's a plethora of defining, like what defines happiness for me. You know, I have bullet points.
So is that a sentence to you in your head, or is that three branches?
It's 3 branches, but the reason that I put it out as 3 bullet points is because I really like the happy leaders win, like a happy leader, like in a sentence.
So you like it as a phrase also?
I love it as a phrase also,
okay.
But I did break it down into 3. So happy, right? It's a lot of what you discuss. What makes me happy. living by my core values, being an empathetic person, okay, working hard, making sure that on a day-to-day basis I am taking the responsibility that I wake up with every single day, being a healthy person, being a person with all my limbs, being a person with my health intact. I have a responsibility on a day-to-day basis to work hard and show up, right? Like we always talk about. Okay. Those things define what happiness is to me. Living in the moment, being comfortable in my own skin, not living for anybody else but myself. All of those things are what make me happy. Okay. I can honestly tell you that 4 years ago, I was not living as a happy person. I was not happy. Okay. I can honestly tell you that today, 90% of the days, okay, because not every day do you wake up and you're fucking happy. You're super happy. There's days that you're just not happy. You're like, fuck, man. Like, why am I not happy today? But I can honestly tell you that 90% of the time, I am happy. I live in a happy state. I'm happy. My child has great health. He's a great kid. He's a respectful kid. He like I said, he's in great health. My wife is amazing. She's an amazing mother. She's an amazing wife. She is following her career and she's super happy in her, what she's doing. And that makes me happy. My family is healthy for the most part. Like everybody's healthy, everybody's vibing, everybody's doing their thing. So I live happy every single day. My business, my work, how I show up on a day-to-day basis. Like I feel happy. So, that's my first one, right? Okay. Happy.
I want to ask you a question on that before you move on to the next one. Do you ever feel like happy is not a big enough word to encapsulate that?
I do. Yeah.
Because I always feel bad when I tell people when I mention I want to be happy, or when it feels so small. It doesn't feel grandiose enough to encapsulate what it is I'm actually chasing. And maybe I don't have the vocabulary for it. Maybe I need to play more Wordle. I don't know.
Yeah.
But happy, because in our first iteration of writing a mission statement for Evolve, I wanted to create happy, healthy humans. I wanted to create something that was simple, easy to rattle off, and had alliteration so it was easy to remember, right? Happy, healthy humans. And then that got picked apart by my first mentor. I was like, what does that fucking mean? What does that fucking mean? And like, that all feels so small. And I was like, you're right. That's so right. Just the word happy is so vague almost in today's world. So I'm not challenging you to change it. I just wanted to see if you felt the same way I do about that word.
I do, and I just haven't found that word that could replace happy yet.
Yeah.
Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But to me, it does, and I'll kind of rebuttal you on this one.
Do it.
It does, but everybody is searching to be happy. Everybody is in pursuit of happiness, okay? Everybody, like you talk to anybody and they just want to be happy. They want to be happy,
That's part of why I feel like it's not big enough. Just because everybody's doing it.
Yeah, but not a lot of people achieve it.
No.
Right?
No.
And to me, it gives it gravitas when you put it in that perspective of like, not everybody is happy. I would venture to say most people are not happy, and the fact that I have achieved that, and it's not. Happiness defines my success. Success doesn't define my happiness.
Got it.
Does that make sense? So I'm happy. Okay. Technically, as a business owner, am I successful? Like, yeah, no, whatever. I'm not at where I want to be. Okay, but I'm still happy, and that's important to me. Like that is like everything to me, because even though I haven't gotten there yet, even though I haven't gotten to where I want to be, I'm already happy. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's big. No, so to me, like I get it, and maybe that word comes that how we define that to be more grandiose,
right?
Big thinker or whatever. But to me, it's a powerful word.
I think that the distinction that needs to be clarified there is that your success doesn't define your happiness. Correct. Which is, people are chasing happiness. They're not actually chasing happiness. They're chasing success. They're chasing the Dan blah, 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 blah,
Brazilian
version of happiness.
Right. And
that they're not defining their own. They're not creating their own happiness and then being successful because they're happy. Like it's the cart before the horse situation.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. All right, I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
you.
You're good.
You have leader.
But happiness is a building block in my ultimate success.
Oh, it's the base. Yeah,
It's the base,
absolutely.
right? And that's why it's number one.
Absolutely, 100%. I get that. That makes sense.
So that's that. Leader, okay, and that again, that is, yes. There's a lot of vagueness to leader, but we've discussed and defined what leader is to us. And it's very poignant and it's very specific as to what I mean by that. Being a leader, I want to be able to show up for my team and for my family. I want to be able to provide for my team and my family. I want to be able to provide the resources for my team and for my family to grow. I want to be the springboard for my team and my family. Right. I want to see my family grow to bigger than what I can be. You know? I want to see my team grow to bigger than what I can be. I want to be a pin for them, a rock for them, so that they can grow. So that, to me, that's what leadership is. We've discussed a little bit
we've talked about the difference between leadership and management.
Right, exactly. And that's very specific. And as I start to understand those moments in my life where I can either be a manager or a leader, that's, to me, part of what that building block of success is. Because if I can continue to define that and see it and say, that moment right there, man, you were being a manager, you weren't being a leader, you need to be better. That is part of that building block of my ultimate success.
I love that, because that just like leapfrogs back onto the conversation we had about responding and reacting, right?
I love that conversation.
So you're trying to be better at being in the moment, deciding, do I need to be a manager or a leader? And when you first started this, the distance between that decision between when the moment happened and when you figured out which way it was supposed to go was so far. And as you've constantly worked on this, now there are moments in the conversation when you can go, I can either be a manager or a leader. I see the two paths clearly, and I get to choose how I'm going to respond, versus before you would react and then later be like, oh, this is how I should have responded. So I think that that's huge. I think that's massive. And I think that that's a great second tier to your happiness, because you're like, okay, cool, this supports that.
And nothing tests that more than being a father to a 3-year-old. I swear. So
because, well, yeah,
for real,
I get it.
In the big picture, no, but there's so many little moments on a day-to-day basis that teach you so much, having a toddler. So the other day, and this may seem like small beans, but for real, it really is impactful. And to me, I put it parallel to the moment that I had with Mari the other day that we discussed, that she was emotional about something and I wasn't empathetic. Then I kind of stepped back and I was like, you need to be empathetic. Like, that's what the leader required, or that's what she required.
That's what that situation required.
Exactly. And as a leader, you need to be able to see that.
Yeah.
So 2 days ago, Braden, I think I posted it, I don't know if you saw it, Braden, so we're at the house, and Mari's working. She didn't get out till like 7:30, 8 o'clock. So on the days that she works now, I will pick him up, we'll go home, I'll make him dinner, I clean the kitchen, he sits in the couch for maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, watches some TV, into The Incredibles lately, which I love The Incredibles, by the way. What a great movie.
Great movie.
And he'll sit down, and I'll clean the kitchen, and then we'll go up to shower. So I had a couple emails, a couple quotes actually that I had to send out. So I cleaned the kitchen. I went down to sit down. He was, again, chilling. He's 3 years old now. Like, he could chill on the couch alone. Like, he doesn't, jump from walls, not all the time.
Right.
So I sit down, I go to write my email, and I hear him go to the garage. So I'm like, hey, B, what are you doing? I turn around, and 2 seconds later, he comes in. Mind you, from that angle, I look at the garage, and the counter is in the way. So all I see is like a little bit of his curls.
Yeah, his curls.
Or like he likes to call it sheep hair.
That's perfect. Okay.
So
hey, sheep head.
Yeah. So I could see a couple of his curls. So whatever. He closes the door. He goes, no, nothing, Papa, or something like that. So he goes back. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So I continue writing my email. And we do a countdown with him whenever we're going to do something that we need him to like move, or we need him to change where he's at. So I go, hey, B, we're going to go shower in 5 minutes. So I give him 5 minutes. Then I do 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. counts it down, it actually softens the blow. It's a really cool strategy. Mari saw it on some fucking reels at some point, but it's actually
worth trying,
worked.
right?
Yeah. No, and it's worked because it softens the blow for them. Because imagine as an adult, dog, like, you're watching TV, you're watching a game, and they just rip you out like, hey, you gotta go. No, what the fuck? I don't want to go. It's the same thing as a kid, man. So anyway, so I tell him, hey, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever. And on the 2 minute one minute, he was weirdly quiet. Like, I didn't hear anything, whatever. So I finished my email and I get up, and as I walk around the couch, I look at the couch, and he has painted all over the couch with what I thought was a regular marker. Thank God it was dry erase. But mind you, I'm still trying to take that shit off of the couch. But he has Picasso'd all over our fucking couch, specifically the ottoman, which is kind of his like home base. Like he puts his food there, whatever, and he watches the TV. And I just did one of these, like, I thought of you, the reaction to the respond to the reaction. And my counter is right here, and I promise you, I just went like this, and I go, Braden. I must have been there for like a minute. Just like, Braden, you mother, Braden.
We're adding 1 minute to the countdown.
Yes. And I turn, right, and I did reprimand him. I was very strong with him, but I wanted to grab him.
Rip him by his sheep head.
just rip him by, what the fuck are you thinking? That's what I wanted to do.
Yes.
Okay. So I went by. I was very strong with him. Braden, you think you should be doing that? And he's very smart. He goes, no, papa. Yeah. When I had turned the corner, I look at him and I go, Braden. He goes, uh-oh, papa. And I go, and I very strongly go, yeah, fucking uh-oh, Braden. He just looked at me, has no clue what that word means.
No idea.
He just looked at me like, yeah. So I go up to him, I get to his level. Something that I've started to do too is like, I'll get to his level. Because at the same time, I'm not gonna stand over him like I'm like this big like king. So I got to his level. I go, Papa, we don't do that. You shouldn't paint on the couch. That is not nice. I go, is that nice? He goes, no, Papa. I go, okay. So then I grabbed him and I put him in timeout. And he was there for like 2 or 3 minutes, whatever. I was cleaning. I was doing a bunch of stuff. But that was a moment there where very similar to the moment with like Mari and not that she paints on couches, but that moment of like. And again, I know it's a kid, but you can either be a leader or you could be a not leader there. You could be a manager. You could take that situation in so many different ways. Yeah. And it should, at the end of the day, it's funny. My dad, we put it on the chat, and my dad's answer was, it was a teachable moment. Be nice. And I thought to myself, you asshole.
Where did you learn that terminology? And it wasn't in the last 30 years.
Where was that when I was a fucking kid, guy?
Yeah, you must have learned that after I got past this age.
I was like, huh? Who took over your phone, bro? But being
That's so funny.
and he texted me on the side after. He's like, being a grandfather is so different. I'm like, yeah, no shit, guy.
He's like, I don't deal with
shit.
it.
But
hands off.
But at the end of the day, he wasn't wrong. It is a teachable moment, and look, he's a fucking 3-year-old.
Yeah.
He wasn't being looked after at that moment, and he did what a fucking 3-year-old does when they're not being visualized watched. Yeah, visualized is not the right word. Watched. And going back to the leadership, because we can do this all day. Those are moments, and I know they're small, but having a child, somebody, a buddy of ours, put in a chat the other day. I don't want to butcher what he said, but he said something to the effect of having a child is the biggest, it's not power move, is the biggest level up or something like that. I'll get the right one. When you start talking, I'm going to look it up. Okay. Because it's the biggest level up or something like that. And I think it's the biggest truth. It's like, not everybody's fit to have a child, and if you don't want to have a child, that's fine. We're not judging you. But man, having a child, there's so many good teachable moments in being a father that you really do step outside or step to the back and go, shit, man, like, yeah, I can be a leader here. Like, let me teach him. Let me show him that, yes, you don't fucking paint on couches. Yeah. Okay, but just don't do it again.
Yeah.
You learn from these things, you know, and that goes back to the leadership portion of it.
Yeah, I think that Peyton's coming into that toddler era, right? She's gonna be 2 in a couple of months.
Yeah.
Before we know it, and she's the only thing I have to remind myself of is that she's only testing her boundaries. She's only trying to figure out what she can and can't do. She's only trying to figure out what's okay and what's not. And the only way that she learns is if we show her. We can't expect her to know anything. Like, I'm amazed that she can walk and run, and she's almost jumping. Like, when she starts jumping, I'm going to lose it. She started asking, "Where are you?" Like, clearly stating, "Dad, where are you?" I was like, I understand that as words, whereas most of her words right now are gibberish or one-word things, or they don't really mean anything yet. And so, like, I keep thinking about, like, that situation because I unintentionally visualize those kinds of situations. So, like, I've visualized her falling and scraping her knee or breaking her arm or whatever. And like, what would I do? What's the process? And it's like that first aid training that I had to go through. It's like, step number 1 is this. Step number 2 is this. Step number 3. And like, anytime she falls, I pause. I just wait and see how she reacts. I'm responding to her.
I love
reaction.
that. We do that too. Yeah.
And so if she gets up and dusts herself off and she goes, "Boo boo," I'm like, "Oh yeah, you got a boo boo. You okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay." "Okay, cool. Let's keep going." But if she like starts crying, it's like, "All right, come here."
They're reliant on your actions.
You freak out.
Yeah,
that's
super.
something we have had to coach the grandmas on because she's a toddler. She's gonna throw her body around like a ragdoll.
That kills me.
Oh my god!
Shush.
Like, he's fine. She's fine. In fact, I sent them a video. I sent my mom and my grandmother a video of her literally yeeting herself off of her modular couch that I had made into a slide, just face planting in it, and she had done it 100 times, right? Like, so I'm watching her, and it's this high.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching her, and I'm right there to catch her in case she tries to do something that she hasn't done yet, and slow her down so she can see it, react to it, and then do it a little bit faster, a little bit faster. And I send that to them, and they're just like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm like, "She's fine." She's like, "Yeah."
Okay.
My mom said something to the effect like, "That's about how my week's going too." Like, she started making a joke about it. Once she found out she was okay, it was like, okay, now we can make jokes about it.
That's so funny. So I found it. So he says, so this is DJ Zaya. I'm going to give you the credit for that, brother.
Okay.
He goes, "It's the biggest life hack ever," was the specific verbiage that he used. And I don't disagree with that. I when he said that, because one of our buddies, Adrian, he just had a baby. Congrats, brother. He just had a baby, and we're on a chat with Roby, myself, and DJ Zaya and Adrian. And Adrian said something to the effect of like, "Wow, this is amazing." Like, it was his first night with the baby. It is. It's fucking mind blowing. And then DJ Zaya said that he's like, "Yeah, it's a life hack." Like, and I agree with that, man. There's so many things that again, I am not judging you if you don't want to have a child, and don't have a child for it to be a life hack. That's not the point either.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get these special powers, but having a child does spark certain things inside of you that you didn't even know you had there.
Yeah.
And in that aspect, there really is a fucking life hack, man.
To me, life hack doesn't hit right. It's something. It's like going back to school. It's like relearning something. It opens up a new chapter.
You're
in
like
a book.
plugging into.
Yeah. It's like a whole new game. You're like getting a brand new gaming system, and you're like learning how to play it. Like that. Life hack to me seems like something that's going to make life easier, and maybe in the long run it does. Like, maybe in the long run all these things you learn do.
Yeah.
But I viewed it as I'm being taken to school, and I'm learning so much from her. She doesn't know she's teaching me,
right.
but like, she's teaching me my own personal growth, my own personal development in testing my boundaries, her boundaries, and so on.
And because of that, I like the life hack definition, because it's in a lot of ways it's teaching me, not reteaching me certain things. Like, it's teaching me certain things about myself, and about my wife too. Like, I tell Maria this all the time. Like, there was levels that she went up as a woman that she wasn't even touching on before Braden, and she's tapped into, like, I call this like super. I call her rock star mama. Like, she's tapped into certain things that I don't think she knew she had, which is amazing. And again, I'm not saying that women that don't have children can't tap into that or are not that.
They might not need it.
But in Mari's situation, in my situation, like, man, there was, again, levels that she went up as a person, as a human, as a woman that are just amazing, you know? And it was partly because she became a mother that she was tapping into those things.
Yeah.
And myself included in that. So I do love that life hack title.
I agree with all of that about Megan becoming a mom and reaching a new level as a mom and a woman and stuff. But on a humorous note, I feel like Megan's senses, like her nose and her ears, have just kicked it up a notch for everyone except me. She can smell when that kid has pooped in her diaper across the room. She hears anytime that kid makes a whisper.
Oh my God.
But if I'm like, hey babe, hey babe,
yes.
hey Megan, hey Megan, it's like, oh, what, are you talking?
Yeah.
Like, yeah I am. You good?
I would
Can we
agree
talk
with
now?
that. I would agree with that 1,000%.
So while she's crushing it as mom, she's ignoring me just as good sometimes.
It's like before Braden starts to even cry. Like, he's thinking about crying. She's like, why are you crying?
Are you there?
Are you okay?
Are you okay?
It's like, he's not even fucking crying yet. It's like, I know, but he was going to cry.
I could feel it. I could feel it coming.
It's like a fucking, when they could tell the tornadoes are coming, like right before. It's like
the sirens are going off.
Yeah. So that's leader. I think that encompasses, we discussed what that means as far as defining success. And then the third one is wins. And I know, again, that is very vague.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't want to shy away from my competitiveness either. And I do want to win. And that is part of my fabric. That is part of my blood. That is who I am as a person. Like,
that's what drives you.
That's what drives me. Okay, why do I want to win? It's different than other people's reasons for wanting to win. But at the end of the day, like, I don't play the game of entrepreneurship. I don't play the game of life to lose. That's not in my blood. I understand that losing is part of the big picture, as we have discussed, and there's a lot of things to learn from losing. But at the end of the day, my goal in everything that I do is to win, is to be the best that I can be and win at that thing that I am doing. Like, I want to be the best entrepreneur. I want to be the best business owner. I want to be the best marketing company.
Cue the Pokemon theme song.
Yeah.
I want to be the very best. No one ever was.
I do. I that is in my fabric as a person, and that really does define part of my definition of success is winning. And again, you're not going to win all the time. We're not going to be the best marketing company all the time. I'm not going to be the best dad all the time. But ultimately, it's understanding why we lost, understanding why we fell short, fixing it, moving forward, being a leader about it, and ultimately winning in the long.
It's striving to be
things.
better. It's that 1% better mentality.
Yeah.
You're gonna continue to prepare and be better than you were last year and the year before, and hoping that creates more wins for you. Like, just like any professional sports team, they're gonna go back to the drawing board, rebuild, fill the positions that were weak, and then try to be better the next year and get more wins. You're trying to stack up wins. I get that. That makes total sense. Especially on an entrepreneurial side. How do you leverage that as a person, right? Because we're talking about these are the three things that as a person you care about a lot. And what I heard in those wins was mostly business.
No, I want to win as a father as well. I want to win as a husband as well. What does that mean? Well, winning for me as a husband is being there for my wife, being a leader for my wife, being empathetic to my wife, respecting and being and this kind of goes into the whole, also a dad thing and what I want to show Braden, but treating her to where Braden is going to be proud of the way that his parents are with each other and that his dad treats his mother, and I think that is big. And so that, to me, that's what I define as winning as a husband, right? Being able to provide for my wife and for my family. But in this case, we're talking about as a husband, being able to provide for my wife, being able to be a rock to my wife. Like, Mari, one of the things that makes me so proud of the way that Mari talks about me to me and to other people, but is that she always uses the word rock. She always says like, you're my rock. You're the person that I lean on.
That's a source of pride for you.
I get through things because you're here.
Got it.
And to me, that fills me up, man. That's like, how can I be more of a rock? How can I continue to what do you need from me?
Have you ever had the experience of her giving you permission not to be that?
Have I ever had the experience? I don't know.
Where she has said, hey, you don't have to be the rock right now. Have you guys been through anything like that?
The closest thing is what we experienced with the whole house thing.
Okay.
That I talked to you about the other day, where she was like, I don't need you to tell me that things are going to be okay. I need you to just be in my feels with me. So yes.
Yeah, that was the empathetic or solution.
Yes.
Driven conversation.
And it's again we've talked about this, very difficult.
So there's going back to, not to keep bringing up cancer because that's such a fun topic.
Yeah.
But because the person we lost was both our friend, Megan felt that she needed to give me permission not to be the rock, right? And she's like, you don't have to be the strong one. You don't have to be the one that gets me through this. We can help each other through this. And I was not in a place to hear that at the time. I was like, no. My role is the rock. This is how I get through it. I be your rock. And then I can go through it on my own situation, but I can put my personal needs aside for your needs now. That's how this is going to work. And I mean, looking back on it, I don't know that I would have done it any differently, but I was just curious because that's an experience I've had, and I've never had anybody give me permission to not be the rock. Like actually come up to me and be like, hey, you don't have to be the strong one right now. That's just the way that I operate. I immediately go to, let me take on the responsibility and help you, and then when I'm done helping you, I can help myself.
Yeah, no, with Mari, I've never experienced that. I think, like I'm saying, the first time that I can, maybe if she were here, she'd. By the way, we're gonna have our wives as a guest in season 2. We forgot to say that. I really do want that. I don't know how. You don't seem so
dramatic zoom on my face.
You don't seem so excited about that, but I do want that.
Well, so
even if it's just Mari.
No. I think it'd be great to have them on individually and then have them on together.
Yes.
But the reason that I make a face is because Megan and I remember very different things, and it's so funny. We've talked about this too, like what hits you and what doesn't, what you hold on to and what you don't. It's so funny because Megan will be like, remember that person, that thing, that whatever, and I'll be like, absolutely not. Like nothing about that rings a bell. She's like, how do you not remember that?
That's Mari in our relationship.
Yeah.
Like Mari doesn't remember shit. And I'm like, how do you not remember that? That was so big to me. She's like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, are you in the same relationship as me?
Megan, we probably have that situation. And I think I told you this, and I don't know if I've told this story in the podcast. Haunted Mansion.
No, you haven't told me.
Oh, okay. So, years ago now, God, I can't believe it was that long ago. Years ago, we were standing in line for Haunted Mansion, and it was me and Megan and Katie, our friend who I mentioned passed away, and her husband, Steve. We call him Outlaw. He's my best friend from college.
Okay.
So we're like the four musketeers. We always went to Disney together. They live in Orlando. We stay with them. And we were standing in line at Haunted Mansion, and I opened my big mouth and I go, I'm really excited to go on this ride. I've never been on this ride before. Like I've heard about it. You guys talk about it a lot. I've never been on it. And they all looked at me like I was freaking nuts. They're like, bro, you've absolutely been on this ride more than once. And I was like, no. Like I was like, I understand the gist of it. There's like a ghost, and like I know it's like you like sit in this little pod thing and you go through a haunted house, and like there's the stretching room. Like you guys have talked about it a lot, but I've never physically seen it with my own eyes. Like maybe you guys went on it and I was like doing something else. Like because we split up and we do things sometimes too at the park. But they're like, no, you've been on this ride, bro. You've been on this ride, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like that has been the joke ever since. Whenever they think I won't remember something, they're like, oh yeah, like you've never been on Haunted Mansion. Oh yeah, like you've never been on Haunted Mansion. Oh yeah, just like you've never been on Haunted Mansion.
That's so
And
funny.
even now, if we get in line to go on a Haunted Mansion, they're like, man, you're really gonna like this ride. You're really gonna love this ride. And it's just it's a point. It's just so funny. I don't remember the point of me telling you the story, but it's just so funny that we don't
the forgetting things.
Yeah, that we don't. There's things that we just don't remember. Like we just choose that aren't aren't things that we should remember. But I'll never forget that conversation
funny.
of them pointing out that I didn't remember. That. So, and I love that it's a joke now. I've told Megan since we started dating, if I ever stop teasing you, be concerned because now I don't care, right? That's how I've always shown my love. That's why Outlaw and I get along so well. That's how we show, remember when no homo was a thing? We said that more than we said each other's names.
Now it's no Diddy.
Yeah. Oh God. That whole conversation just spurred that memory. I thought I'd share that.
No, that's a cool memory. And that happens to me every day with Madi. Every day. And it's usually, the worst part is, it's usually like things that were really crucial in our relationship.
Really?
Yeah, that I'm like, wait. What do you mean you don't remember that?
Yeah.
Or what do you mean you don't remember not telling me that, or whatever the case may be? And she's like, I just don't remember.
We've had that.
I just don't.
We've had that with like
why?
Like,
how?
Yeah, you told me this thing. I never told you that.
Yes, happens all the time.
Like, you absolutely did tell me that. And she's like, no. And then, but it happens both ways for us. Cause she'll be like, no, you said this. And I'm like, no, I absolutely didn't say that. Yeah. I would never 100% commit to that. I might've said maybe in front of it and you're just not remembering the maybe. But
I do that. Like Madi, and Madi's already been with me enough that she'll catch it and she'll be like, you're not here right now, are you? Like, no,
in the moment.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I'm on something else. She's like, you're not here right now with me. And I'm like, no, give me 5
that's
minutes.
happened. We've had that conversation where it's like, hey, are you here right now? Like, I'm sorry, I'm doing this right here.
Yeah.
I can't do both. Yeah. 5 seconds. Finish. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. So, winning, that, again, it's very broad, but in my definition of what defines success, winning to me is a big point. I'm a very competitive person, and I don't want to shy away from that. I want to harness that, but I don't want to shy away from that. And ironically enough, I think Braden is as well, because you can kind of already tell, like, he's very adamant about certain things. He doesn't know what winning is right now.
He doesn't know what competition is.
But you could tell there's a little competition in him, and I'd love to see where that goes. And I definitely don't want to take that away from him. I want to harness that. So winning is a pillar in what I define as success. And I do love that phrase, like a happy leader wins. That's that really defines like what success means to me, and how we break it down. Now, very quickly, because we'll be here for another 4 hours.
Very quickly, he says, knowing full well.
So we talk about what's success and broken down into dad, entrepreneur, and human. And I want to know, like, what defines your success as a dad?
Dude, so I feel like I've given this a lot of thought and I don't have any words to put to it.
It's tough.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So as a dad, right now, like, my big focus right now is that I can give her all of me to imprint as much goodwill on her as possible, right? So, like, not spoil her, not give her everything she asks for, but like be that supportive figure in her life to know that she's got not just mom who she stays home with all day, who's always there by her side, but she's also got dad on her side. So that when she comes of age to understand that that I'm also there, and when she needs something, she doesn't have to wait around for mom, right? Because with Megan staying home, one of the concerns that I have, or one of the fears, I guess it's not a concern, more of an irrational fear that I have, is that she will see me as one of two things: either the authoritarian, because I'll come home and I'll only be the bad guy, or I'll be the fun parent. I'll be the one that you go to when you want something after mom said no. And I don't want us to feel like we're on opposing sides as parents to our daughter. So a lot of times when I come home, I get to be the fun one. I get to come home and I get to play. I get to do the things. But a lot of times I don't know what's going on. I don't know everything that's gone on for the whole day. So I have to ask, like, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? Can she have a cheese stick? Because she already had one.
She's having cheese steaks?
Cheese steaks. No, cheese stick. Cheese. Peelable cheese. And then the other big thing as a dad is, like, I want to be keeping her safe. And what I mean by safe is, like, I don't ever want her to feel like she's in a risky situation. So if she's, like, walking on a balance beam, I don't want to necessarily feel the need to hold on to her, but I want her to know that if she falls, I've got her, right? When she climbs up on something, I don't want her to be afraid of being up on that thing. I want her to respect falling off of it and understanding what happens, but I don't want to be like, all right, I've got you, you can go now. I don't want to be a helicopter parent. Just in this so we've had her in swim lessons since she was like, I don't know, like 10 months old. Like when she started walking, right? Like right before she turned 1, we got her in swim lessons. She refuses to go on her back. So we're just trying to teach her everything we can to keep her head up above water, right? And just in this last swim lesson, she would get up on the side of the pool and then walk off the edge to me, right? And we had to practice like, hey, I have to be looking at you. You have to be looking at me. We need to count down, kind of like you guys with your 5 minutes till, 3 minutes till. We have to be 1, 2, 3, come to dad, right? And she started getting really excited about it, having fun about it. And she started just walking in before I was ready. She was like, yeah, he'll get me. Yeah. And so like that blind faith, part of me was like, yes, she totally trusts me. She believes in everything I'm going to be there for her.
And part
all
of
the
you
time.
is like, fuck.
And part of me is like, that blind faith is also dangerous. Yeah. So I'm trying to find that balancing act of all of those things. And it's such a fun mental gymnastics challenge for me. And I think that's like that entrepreneurial problem solver spirit, like, and I'm putting it into dad life for some reason, but I'm just so excited about all of that. And I guess that's a really long-winded answer to say, like, I just want her to know that I'm there, like always and forever, whatever you need, like you can call on me kind of situation. Like I can be the cool parent, I can be the authoritative parent, I can be the fun parent, I can be the non-fun parent, but like no matter what, at the end of the day, dad is there. And,
I love that.
And he's got your back.
I love that. And it's funny that you said about when you get home, you have to figure out if you're going to be the funny or the fun dad or the authoritarian or whatever. Or
right.
You kind of, unfortunately, the way that the day works out, you're kind of pinned into one of those because of the way that our relationship and the way that our personalities are. Me and Mari and I usually tend to be in that authoritarian mode most of the time. It's not something that I don't like being in, just because I like to be that that teacher that to Braden, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like to be that, hey, no, dude,
Yeah.
like you can't do that shit.
I think a lot of that it can be argued as gender specific. Like you're the male role model for your male child.
I think it is, yeah.
Versus me, I'm like, I want to be the male role model for maybe the blueprint for her future of some kind, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't need her to find someone exactly like me, but like,
yeah,
I want to put up a good picture of like expectations, which is another thing we talked about, you know, Braden seeing the way that you interact with Madi. I want Peyton to understand how we interact and what a loving, warm household feels like with all parties involved, not just us to her, but us to each other outside of her, and then all three of us as a unit also, and so how those are very different, but all very powerful and important to make sure that we're cultivating and, like you said, communicating how much we do care about each other and all that stuff. I was talking to one of the members today, and she's got a daughter who's like 1 year ahead of Peyton, and we were talking about firsts and doctor's appointment stuff, and I was like, the first time that this kid says "I love you," like verbally says it out loud to me, I'm gonna lose it. Moment. I'm gonna be like, I hope that it's like saying good night, and I can close the door and just go like sob uncontrollably on the couch for 10 minutes because it's gonna hit so hard. Megan literally texted me yesterday and was like, first thing she said when she woke up was, Dad, where are you? And I like literally sent her crying emoji, and Megan's like, no, it was a good thing. I was like, no,
but I wasn't there.
I wasn't there. So it's like that whole driving force of wanting to be there, be that safety net, be everything that I can be. And then like her waking up and saying that and I'm not there. I'm like, I'm failing. You know, you get that cringe inside of you.
Braden does a thing now where, so his language is his speech is pretty advanced, and he'll do for whatever reason. I would love to know what's going on in his head and what he's feeling, but he's done it to me already the last 2 nights where we'll be eating. I have like this kind of the step up bench that he can be at counter level with us.
Oh yeah, like a little helper in the kitchen.
And he's eating and we're watching TV, whatever, and I'm eating right next to him. We haven't said a word in like 3 minutes, and he'll just turn to me like, go like this. and just do this and go, I love you, Papa.
Oh.
Like how do you, why? You know, why, what's going through your head to say like,
that you need that?
I need to show you, you know, it's crazy, like how emotionally advanced.
It's great.
But it is it's a melting moment.
Peyton does this. Peyton goes, Dad. And it means she wants me to hold her hand.
Oh.
And it doesn't matter. Her hand could be covered in mac and cheese. Her hand could be covered in fruit. Her hand, she's sitting in her high chair, and you're sitting where I'm sitting.
And you definitely don't give a shit. It could be covered in shit, and you're like...
Yeah. No, I 100%. I give her my finger, she grabs on, and she goes back to eating. And she just holds my hand and eats.
Awesome.
And then I have to eat with my left hand. And I'll tell you what, me doing a fork with the left hand, not as good as doing a fork with the right hand. It is. We were having rice and chicken last night, and I like could not get anything into my mouth, and I was not letting go of this kid's hand.
That's
and Megan's just like, why don't you just like go? And I was like, no,
not doing it.
No,
not doing it. So that defines,
yeah. I know that there was very long-winded, and I'm sure that you have something more pointed and short to quickly get through.
No, don't put that on me because I don't. I put down 3. So the first and foremost, it's very important for me to make sure that in our household we're treating each other with respect and something that he's going to be proud of growing up. I think that's at the forefront of being a father. Like I want to make sure that he's seeing me treat Mari with respect and as a woman should be treated and as a wife should be treated, and vice versa, by the way. Like, you know, and not saying that Mari doesn't, on the contrary, but vice versa. Like I want him to see Mari treat me like you know, when Braden was born, we started this really corny thing, which it's corny, but it's really impactful for us where, I'll call her my queen and she calls me her king. And there's a lot of, messaging to that. Like I want Braden to see us as like we're in love with each other, you know, like we treat each other with respect. We are, we're living for each other, and we have you now, and that's something to look up to. I really want him to look up to our relationship. So I think at the forefront, it's that, like in our house, I want to be respectful to each other. I want Braden to look up to us as a couple, as people, as a father, obviously, but really that's at the forefront of what, you know, success as a father is to me. The second one that I wrote down was hardworking. Right, I want Braden to be proud of. To me, I will be successful if Braden grows up to be proud of the hard worker that I am, but also emulates that and becomes a hard worker and understands the responsibility that he will have as a healthy individual. Like I always say, when you wake up in the morning and you have your health, you have your family has its health, you have all your limbs, you have a responsibility as a person to be the very best that you can be that day, to show up and put in the fucking work. You know, is that work going to be 100% like we talk about? Not every day, but put in the fucking work. And I want him to feel that. I want him to emulate that. I want him to be passionate about that, because at the end of the day, there are people in this world that do not have that that ability, that don't have those God-gifted abilities, that they can wake up every day healthy with their limbs and be able to do everything without a problem. And again, I really truly feel to my core we have that responsibility as people to be able to wake up every day, and if you are healthy and you have your limbs, to give it your fucking all, to show up and to get after it. Yeah.
I definitely think that's one of those things too. It can be misconstrued, right? Is you want him to be a hard worker, but it's not. It's like, it's kind of back at that saying that happy argument, right? That's still not the right word for it, right? And,
right.
You want him to be driven. You want him to be intrinsically motivated. You want him to understand that the only person who can fully control the outcomes of his life is him, and you want him to grasp that somehow. I think that's a very massive task, to kind of tiptoe that line between encouraging and almost not forcing isn't the right word, but getting them to see that and work towards that and want to work towards that. And I know that there's going to be years, I'm sure that you had years, I know I had years where I didn't want to do shit.
Yeah, I had many.
And so it's like, we as parents still have to make sure we hold on to those things. That's not something we forget and have a gap of like, I was always a hard worker. I mowed lawns and delivered. Yeah. No. We both had years where we didn't want to do shit and we didn't do shit.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great pinpoint, but I want to make sure it doesn't get misconstrued.
Yeah. No, and I think that is a great point. And I think that's part of, as a father, the communication that, I want to have with Braden as well is like, yeah, there was moments in my life where I didn't show up. I didn't do these things. And I look back now and I was like, man, I wish I would have shown up. I wish I would have done this. And I want you to learn from my mistakes as well. If you can. Listen, you're going to have your own mistakes, man. There's going to be things that I'm going to tell you and you're going to do the same fucking shit.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
But just learn from them, And then the third one that I have, which is very near and dear to my heart, is be a healthy example. And I think we know enough of what that means. Like, just be fucking healthy. Just, again, you have the responsibility if you wake up every single day and you're healthy and you're somebody that you have your health and you have your limbs and you can go out and you can practice. You can do certain things that will continue to improve your health as a person. Eat correctly, be mobile, be active, be physically active. Make sure that you're treating your body as a temple. That, I know it's a corny saying, but it's the truth. Like, treat your body well and it'll treat you well. And I think that's a lesson that I want to give Braden, because at the same time, like, I want to be very honest with him. Like, I haven't been that in my life, and I've let my stress and I've let my internal battles affect my external battles and my external appearance and my external health and my internal health. And I want to make sure that we're an example of, like, no matter what's going on in your life, your health is number one. And you eating right and you going to the gym, there is no excuses that can be happening in your life that, when I say go to the gym, be physically active. We talked about it. You don't have to fucking go to a gym. There's a lot of free exercise that you can do. But doesn't matter what's going on in your life. You don't have any excuses not to be healthy.
Yeah.
And you don't have any excuse, none.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't have any excuses not to treat your body like the number one asset you have, because your body, your mind, your entire being is the number one asset you have. If you don't have your health, you don't have shit. If you don't have your health, you can't be there for your family. And I'm talking about mind, spirit, and soul. Like, you're the whole package, right? You can't show up 100% for the people that you love, and health is number one. Like, number one. I know you believe that, and there's nothing more important than treating your body right so that you can be the best you can be to the people that you love.
Yeah, I think that I speak for both of us when I say, like, taking care of your physical being is a massive step towards taking care of your emotional 100%. And spiritual being, right? Whether or not you're religious or whatever, you still have a spiritual being of some kind, because you have your own core values, you have your own belief system, whatever it is. But there's something about the tangible control you can experience through taking care of your physical being that parlays into those other two realms in a way that the other two don't necessarily always carry over into the physical realm. So I think it's a great thing. And you coming from a place where we've talked about your struggles with your physical health, and I think it kind of also relates to the hardworking point that you made. Those things are very much hand in hand. And being able to show Braden your struggles and what you went through and trying to prevent him from harming himself in that way, I think that's massive. I think it's a great motivator as a father to make sure that you're taking what you've learned, trying to teach it to your kids as best you can, and then letting them take what they want from it and do it. And then when they screw up, you're there to pick them back up.
Yeah, no, agree.
Great.
I have nothing to add to that.
So because we talked a little bit about human, we talked a little bit about dad, so we got entrepreneur left.
We do have entrepreneur left, and very specifically, I don't have any written down.
Yeah.
Not because I was in a hurry and we had to get the podcast. I as a entrepreneur, I feel like most people try to separate what their success is as a human and what their success is and what I mean by that is, like, having empathy, right? That's one of my human things. Like as an entrepreneur, that is one of my goals to be successful, is to have empathy for my team. Like I'm not this all ruling king of my business.
Yeah.
I am somebody that has an idea, has a drive. I'm a leader, but that doesn't mean that because of my team or without my team, I can get things done. Like, no, I'm very aware that my team is a huge part of what I do and a big driving force of our success. And they are the driving force, right? I'm just, without my team and this is for any entrepreneur, because there's no entrepreneur that doesn't have a team, that doesn't have people around them, that it doesn't matter who you are. Like without that team, you're not going anywhere, man.
Yeah, we're not talking employees specifically. We're talking the people in your circle, the people who impact you, the people who drive you forward in order to create the business success, the stereotypical success. Those people are vital.
Correct.
To the entrepreneurs.
Correct, 100%. Movement. So, having empathy, right? Providing and protecting. Like that's a family value, huge. But that's also a business value.
Oh my gosh.
I want to, like, I get so much joy out of knowing that, for instance, we have a client that this year for around Christmas time approached me and said, hey, I want to get the team, because obviously my team is her team, like we're a marketing firm. So, I want to get the team some cool, it's a travel agency. I want to get the team some cool stuff where they're at, because some of my team is in Spain, some is in Peru, like we're kind of all over the place. And then she got me some stuff here. She's like, I want to do like a night out or something like that, like something like a tasting. She's a high-end travel agency. So they do like wine tastings and different things like that. So I was like, all right, I need to get my team a Christmas, I want to get them a Christmas gift as well. Like, why do we do something and we go in, half. If you're going to get them a Christmas gift, I'll put in as well, and we can get them something even better and whatever. But we did. And I found so much joy in the videos and the messages that I got back from those, their experiences. And I get so much joy in seeing my team grow. We have one specific, I call him brand liaison, but account manager that we have. And when we first started, she was going through some life issues and some personal issues that she was very open about. She's like, look, I'm moving, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, and it kind of goes back to the empathy thing. Like, there were certain things that, maybe she had dropped the ball here or whatever the case may be, where I would meet with my right hand, Vanessa, and we'd talk about it. We're like, look, let's sit down. What does she need?
Yeah. How do we provide support?
How can we help her get through this so that she can in turn become a better person, a better, advocate for the company? Just like, how do we help her?
Yeah.
And it has transformed her. She's still with us. She is a bulldog. Like she has like 4 or 5 accounts of ours.
Nice.
And she's amazing. And one of our accounts actually the other day was like, they wrote to me specifically about her. And I try to let, that's another thing when we talk about family. Like I let my team know, like when people are talking good about them, like, I want them to know. Like I text them and I'm like, hey, like, so-and-so's talking about you. Like you're doing a great job, whatever. And our travel agency, which she's the main spearhead for that account, was like, she's so smart. Like she's incredibly smart. Like we're so happy to have her. Like she's amazing. She's very intellectual. And I got so much joy out of that she's now able to spread her wings and she's really taking on this role. Yeah. So that goes back to this. Like, I feel like that for my family, but I also feel like that for my team as an entrepreneur. And I find there's so much meshing going on with those values. Yeah. Like I really, my team is my family. Yeah. Like they are my tribe.
There's a massive amount of overlap in being the leader of a company or a business and being that entrepreneurial visionary, but also being the mentor of the group, right? Yeah. Being the guy to come to with problems. And then it's hard because, especially when you're running a small business, from my very small experiences, like somebody comes to you, like they let you down or they failed or whatever. If they've worked for a corporation before, that's a wag the finger, you're doing bad, one more strike and you're out kind of thing. Versus like, in my experience, or at least my approach is like, cool, how do we make sure this doesn't happen again? Like, don't worry about it. You make mistakes. you know what you did wasn't right, kind of like you talking to B and being like, you know what you did wasn't right, let's not do it again. But then coming up with a plan together and supporting them in order to become the version that they now see of themselves. Like, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to be that person. But then the good thing about that is when you approach it that way, you start to see the people who care and you start to get them to care about your vision and your business, and they get bought in. So it's synergistic in that, like, it's worth the investment in people to build them up and put that empathy into them and listen to them and grow them as a person and as whatever their role is. But also it clearly defines who is and isn't in on you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so, like, had you put some effort and time into that person and they didn't take that and see it and then improve, and you get that feedback from the travel agent, you know that, hey, maybe this person isn't as invested as we need as a VBL person. Like, maybe they're not, maybe they're great at what, you know, whatever they're okay doing, but maybe they're not VBL great. And we get to then have those clear parameters of that stuff. I think it's great. One of the stories that comes back to me is Coach Chris, who we've talked about a couple of times, is he is somebody who has challenged my beliefs around what I want to do in the fitness space. And he's asked me why more times than any of my other coaches. And he asked me why so many times. He started to apologize that he thought he was annoying me about it. And I was like, no, this is great. You're helping me clarify my beliefs so that I can have these conversations with people who are potential clients, customers, or I can know who's not a fit. Just like we talked about at the very beginning of this podcast, knowing what you don't want to be. I know exactly who's not going to fit in at the facility that I want to build, or the business that I want to build, or the community that I want to build. If I talk to a person and they say XYZ is important to them, I know 100% you are not going to have a good time here. I could 110% sell you to be here. I could take your money, but in 3 months, you're going to be miserable. You're going to hate it. You're going to wish you'd never done it. So I'm going to save you time, which is saving you money, and refer you somewhere else. And I think that is so powerful in taking the time to cultivate people and have people who challenge your beliefs, and it only can help the business thrive and grow and become the full vision, what's the realization of the vision? Now realization is actually the word we need.
I want to put a quick bow on that, challenging your beliefs, because that's a super important topic, and I think it's a good way of us ending this episode. But you can only do that. You can only be the leader that has people around you that challenge you if you're set and you're confident in who you are.
Strong in your convictions.
Because I've been there. I've been on the other side of that. I've been on the side of having people that work with me or for me or as part of my team challenge my beliefs and getting super offended at that. And it wasn't a them problem. It was a me problem. And I wasn't convicted enough. I wasn't sure enough in myself. And I would easily get offended of like, why are you challenging me? Like, you don't believe in this? As opposed to now I'll actually present things to Mari, believe it or not, on purpose. And I will tell her almost like here, poke holes in it.
Absolutely.
Like poke holes.
Yeah, that's
show me what I'm not seeing. And because I'm very, very, very set in understanding that just because I have an idea, okay, just because I have this business idea or this direction that I want to take something, it doesn't mean it's right.
No.
Okay. I could be very have a lot of conviction about it, but it doesn't mean it's right. And if it is right, it doesn't mean it's perfect.
Right.
I'm not expecting anybody, so we're good. It doesn't mean it's perfect.
Right.
And that's very important too, because I want Mari to poke holes. I want like my right hand Vanessa. I tell her all the time, like, and I'll text her all the time, thank you, like abrazo, like te quiero, like in Spanish that's like I love you. I've known her for 10 years now. She's like a sister to me. And I tell her all the time, like I appreciate you poking holes, because there's the two main people. I'm literally not expecting anybody. The two main people that I'm the most that poke holes the most in my ship are my right hand in my business, Vanessa, and my right hand in life is Mari. and they're the ones that poke the most holes in my ship, and I love it because they're not poking holes so that it sinks. They're poking holes so that I know where to patch and how to improve that bow or whatever that is in a ship, so that it can continue. I'm not a
shippist.
I'm not a shippist, so that we can move forward.
That's your new bio.
That is, I'm not a
JC,
shippist.
marketing expert. I'm not a shippist.
So
go to his Instagram tomorrow.
But I wanted to put a bow on that because I think that's such an important topic or point, and I really love it. I love talking about that. So
yeah, I think that if you can get that view, that if you can switch that view into, instead of someone attacking you, it's somebody helping you build yourself up in all things, not just business, but in like, okay, why do you believe you should talk to someone like that? Why do you believe that? And people are not going to ask you about it in a way that respects your feelings. No. They're just not, because they're not thinking about your feelings. They're thinking about why. Why are you doing this? Why is this going on? And if you start getting hurt because someone asked why, you're in the wrong field. Yeah. You shouldn't be an entrepreneur, but you also have a lot of work to do on yourself, because your confidence in your convictions, your beliefs, your stance, your whatever you want to call it, is not steadfast.
No.
You're not ready yet. I do that to Megan too. I give her ideas. Here's what I'm thinking about doing next. Here's the next step. What do you think I should do here? Da, 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 da. And oftentimes what I found out is Megan is not my client, one. But two, she brings up a lot of points of things that I would never even think of. Yeah. Because she's not my client. So she's helping me define who doesn't fit, just as much as she's helping me define who does fit. And it's great. It's fantastic. I think that's a great place to wrap up on.
I agree, man.
Be strong in your convictions. Don't get mad for people pushing your boundaries and trying to find out where you're willing to bend. And if you're not set, you're going to find out real quick. And don't be upset at them for finding that. Start working on yourself.
Yeah, and if you have people that are part of your tribe that are not pushing you and not kind of getting that out of you.
If you're surrounded by yes men.
Yeah, don't be surrounded by yes men. Be surrounded by people that care about you and that want the best for you. Because if they're poking holes in your armor, it's because they want you to strengthen your armor.
We should go back just through like the 6 or 7 episodes we recorded and see how many times I've been like, I want to challenge you on that. Just like literally on camera, how many times have I challenged you? And then multiply that by like 400. Because in our conversations outside of here, we do the same thing.
Yeah. And sometimes it's made me more convicted. Is convicted the right word? Yeah, convicted in my message or in my belief. Or sometimes it's been like, oh shit, like I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to change my viewpoint about
one
that.
way or another. It creates clarity.
Hell yeah, man. That wraps up season 1.
Season 1 done.
Damn.
It's already, dude.
That is cool.
Can you believe it?
It's really cool though, man. We've shown up. We've done it. We've through hard times and pitfalls throughout the year. We have set, and I think that's a really important point as well, is like just show up and get it done.
The through line, just show up.
Yeah, man.
We've been talking about that for weeks now. Just show up.
So I'm super excited at starting to schedule season 2 out.
Yeah. And
getting these people on and really starting to share viewpoints and have a third viewpoint, you know, every episode, that we're so. We understand where we're coming from so well now that I feel like bringing a third person to kind of discuss and talk, or maybe a fourth, I don't know, is going to be really cool.
Yep. If you've made it this far into the episode, please leave a comment. 1, saying that you're here. 2, any topics that you would like us to talk about or get guests on for. And 3, if you've been here since day 1, put day 1 in the comments. I want to see how many of those day 1s show up.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you. Thanks for being here, man. Happy season 1.